Hi everyone, this is Ciara Sun. I'm Vice President at Huobi Global. We are a world-leading crypto exchange. I'm also the head of listing and blockchain investment at Huobi as well. So recently the market has been doing really well and we've been listing a lot of great projects. And that's why we're starting a new series of videos, and it's called the Spotlight for Huobi Listing. And for the first episode, we will have Epik to join us. So we have a co-founder and CEO of Epik, Victor, and also COO Gary.
My name is Victor. I'm a programmer. I've been a programmer for over 20 years. Never thought I'd be in blockchain, but I was a big gamer. NFTs like ERC 721 came out, and I went to Explore 721 in Dallas in 2018. Fell in love with blockchain and started our company. It grew to be the company it is today.
Hi, I'm Gary Ma. I'm Chief Operating Officer at Epik. I've been doing operations for 16 plus years across a multitude of different industries. Previous businesses involved working with major brands and entertainment, celebrities, doing live music, mega festivals all over the world. And that's what we do here at Epik, is bring mainstream brands to digital platforms and gaming, and working with other giant entertainment IP and properties.
What made you guys jump into crypto, from a very traditional gaming industry background and now in NFT, now in crypto?
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting. I mean, we started this business back in early 2018, way beyond when it was, way beyond when NFTs really got popular, obviously the big wave this year. So really accelerated that. But yeah, I mean, we have an interesting story all the way from 2018 with the idea to bring blockchain to more mass adoption, right, Victor? And like Victor comes, like you mentioned, kind of a gaming affiliation and interest, and maybe you want to share how that kind of started in 2018.
I had a feeling that NFTs was going to be the key thing, and for mass adoption, I really felt like blockchain at that point, or what was known as crypto back then, was still all related to like financial instruments or investing and things like that. And to me, I already knew that once gaming and NFTs combined, then you're going to get some really mainstream adoption, because that's where you get hundreds of millions of users using it, and then gamers are more apt to adopt newer technology. So I got really excited about that, and we started our company. Right at the moment, final code review of ERC 721 in Dallas. I'm one of the main authors there. I met him, Will Entrikin. He joined our team and taught us about 721, and we built a B2B SaaS platform on blockchain, doing smart contracts and minting NFTs. It was like way too early. No one even knew what we were talking about. And everyone was really still into building protocols and infrastructure, which we all use right now. And then later on was DeFi, but we kept plugging along and focusing on digital merchandise, NFTs. And then we actually grew to become the leading agency putting brands into video games. So the way that happened is we started approaching game companies and started selling them this product and saying, hey, blockchain's the future, you need to use this stuff, we can make NFTs. And they're like, well, I don't even know anything about blockchain. Sure, okay, we trust you, we'll sign you on as a technology partner, advisor, teach us about blockchain. And then we said, okay, well, let's introduce NFTs. And they're like, no, we want to protect our economy. So for those not in the gaming industry, video game companies, they work really hard to acquire users, and then when they acquire users, they have to work on monetization of those users. And then they didn't want to really open up their in-game economy to anybody else. So then I said, okay, well, how about if we bring in new IP? So if we bring in new IP, that's something outside of your normal in-game economy, and we can actually NFT that, which makes sense now. But back then, they still didn't understand. So then they're like, okay, well, I don't understand really. Why don't you go get us this IP? So we're like, okay, let's go do that. So we have a history and connections in the licensing industry. We started bringing these brands into the video games, and that's the origin story. So then we came in as a technology partner, then we became this IP agency, and now we're pretty much the world leading agency with like over 300 video game companies, over half of the top 25 game companies. There are our clients, and we do close to 50, 60 deals a year at the minimum, where we're putting the IP into the video games. So that's kind of how we got here now, and everything we've been working on, which is in-game items, which is now transformed into NFT items, which is now going into the next thing that we already anticipated last year, which is metaverse, which is what everyone is talking about now. So it's kind of like, it's all kind of funny that we're going down this path, and then we didn't really change, but then the world kind of changed, and kind of COVID, I think there was a lot of stuff that came in, and it just put the spotlight on kind of what we were doing.
Yeah, NFTs are something people understand innately. It's digital stuff. We talk about this all the time, right? So mainstream consumers, your regular grandma, doesn't matter who you are, you get buying things, you get stuff. This is just digital stuff. So it's a lot more easier to understand and kind of have an entryway into blockchain and crypto, that the more progressive stuff or more advanced stuff is a little bit too advanced for that conversation. So yeah, for sure, it's a gateway into this new technology, which is one of the things that's exciting about it.
So, do you want to talk about what is Epik and what role do you guys play in the NFT ecosystem?
I mean, as Victor mentioned earlier, this company was designed from the beginning, from bottom up, to be a blockchain-enabled NFT solution and provider for what started out as mainstream games. And then now we're seeing a lot of kind of convergence with kind of crypto native games as well as mainstream games that are more and more, it's still early, being exposed to expanding their ecosystem and their in-game economies to new types of digital consumer products, right? Digital merchandise with stuff like collectibles and NFTs. So that's what Epik does. We are a B2B company primarily, and so what we do is we help the giant entertainment and IP brands cross over and expand their digital strategy to incorporate a more formal digital strategy, digital merch in with their existing businesses and expand their footprint both in terms of engagement and awareness and new merchandise sales and products through this new form of tangible good inside these game economies.
And that's why, Huobi really likes Epik. It's because we've, met with your guys and see you guys have this much experiences in the gaming industry, and you're bringing all of your resources, your IP resources, all of the brands that you worked before into this. You're serious about this, and you have the resource and ability to really make this work. So why do you choose to work with us?
Well, we work with the best companies in the world, and
thank you.
And you guys are obviously them. I mean, for example, to expand on what Gary was saying, we're the only NFT company to work with AAA games already. We've already rolled out NFTs with Asphalt 9, which is a game that's been downloaded over 1 billion times. So we only work with usually the biggest companies. We're doing a lot more now with crypto games. But our whole mission was to work with mainstream people because we make the whole pie bigger. Because we have such an unorthodox model where we work with everybody, and it's like a partnership model where and everybody works, and every person we bring into our ecosystem adds value. So you can think of it as two different sides, especially for NFTs. There's distribution, and then there's content. So IP is content. It's like the things you put on your store shelf, and then we have distribution, which is like marketplaces, video games, metaverses, all that kind of stuff. And that's where you can distribute your IP across a wide range of distribution points through Epik. We're pretty deeply involved in your ecosystem and in your future ecosystem. And we're here to support new projects that also come in through Huobi. We're more than happy to work alongside them and add them to our network. For sure.
What is your business model? And we're curious to find out how you support, NFT creators and the brands and IPs and all of the different roles in the ecosystem to grow.
So, we've been operators in traditional business as well, like just regular non-crypto and growing business, and understood that actually, we had to approach it with the same type of pragmatism and learn how to generate revenue and be sustainable and profitable and have a business model that works. So throughout that time, we emerged as that leading digital licensing agency working with these brands and games. So some of our revenue stream comes from that model where it's a servicing base, and we help put together a lot of these collaborations between mainstream brands and games. And of course, now that it's more proliferated with the digital merchandise element of it, people are seeing lots of sums and revenues being generated from the NFTs, drops, you name it. That's going to continue to grow and expand, and that's going to be a growing segment of our business as well as what we've already been doing for the past few years.
It's a perfect explanation of our company business model, and the way it works with the token and our project is primarily focused on the same reflection of our network, which is our strength. So it's essentially, like I mentioned before, it's this two-sided marketplace, which has a really strong moat effect because we spent years building these relationships. And now what happens is as we do more and more collabs, we're announcing, like we've already announced 4 in the last 60 days with top-tier games, the one I mentioned previously, Asphalt 9, Second Life, which is a legendary game, Avocan Life, which is a big up-and-coming, it's like the new Second Life of Europe for younger demographic, and then Garena Free Fire, which is the #1 mobile game in the world. So these are ones that we've announced just recently. And what our token holders get is, think of it like elite membership with different tiers, and as you stake and hold these tokens, you get access to pre-order or get allocation. Essentially, is what's going to start happening with NFTs. Getting allocation on NFTs that you can't get because there's such high demand between collaborations. Let's say another partner that we're working with right now is for 9/11 is, let's say, like Sandbox. So Sandbox created these amazing, beautiful first responders for 9/11 20th anniversary, and we're saving them for Epik token holders, right? So that's kind of like the benefits, that come from holding our tokens. So it's these kind of things. It's a new model that hasn't really emerged yet, that we're kind of pioneering, and it just perfectly suits what we do. Whereas typically a membership model, you wouldn't think it would work, but when you have the huge network that we have and you have the millions of users, then it makes sense. I would say there is a transition because of our model. I mean, we haven't spent this many years doing direct marketing to consumers and to end users. So we've always been behind the scenes. Like, even if you look at this year, we're the major key presenter at all of the licensing shows all year round. In Europe, the one coming up in New York, where we're the main guys. It's called the Epik After Party. I mean, everyone knows us in the licensing world. So if you're Hasbro or whatever, Mattel, like all these big names, they all know Epik. And same thing with game companies. They all know us because we've been going to GDC, E3, Gamescom Asia, and we're the main guys in Gamescom Asia. Gamescom is actually the biggest game conference in the world from Cologne, Germany, and it's been the biggest one for years. It takes over the whole city. And they're doing their first installment of Gamescom Asia, and we're the biggest partner there, and we're doing their inaugural NFTs. So they want to do a Gamescom NFT series with the game companies and consumers and gamers, and we're the ones chosen to do that with them. So that's kind of like how we're a part of the ecosystem behind the scenes. But now that we are kind of, I guess, coming out and providing this membership token, leveraging our network, now people are starting to learn about us. So hopefully it will grow over time.
I mean, it's kind of funny too, like Victor was saying, we'd be on panels and Victor would be talking about the future of digital merchandise and blockchain and collectibles, like early 2018 in front of these big licensing vendors, like the executives and so forth, educating all of them. And like we said earlier, is a little too early, I would say. But yeah, we've been beating the drum, trying to educate the awareness and all that for quite a while, and we love doing it. That's part of our business mission as well. So
that actually has helped us a lot because we've built this trust and rapport with them over these years. Now when the light switch goes off in these big companies' minds, and we've been working with them already for years, they say, "Oh, now I know what you're talking about." Right? And then now everyone's talking to me about it, and all these brand new companies are coming up left, right, and center, but this is where this relationship comes in, and they say, well, we don't know these people. We don't know what they want to do, and we don't know how we're going to benefit. But we know you guys, we've been talking to you guys, and you've been telling us about it for the last 3 years. Let's figure out how we can work together. And that's kind of how we have a little bit of an unfair advantage, but we've worked hard for that, right?
So can you tell us, why is blockchain gaming a good investment, and why is licensing in gaming so crucial to its development?
I think blockchain in gaming is an incredibly good investment. It's the timing of it. We kind of saw this coming 3 years ago, and it took a while to develop, but it is mass adoption, not only because NFTs, people understand NFTs like we talked about earlier, whereas not everybody invests. Even if you walk down the street, you ask somebody, hey, how much Tesla do you own, or how much Apple do you own? I mean, a lot of people don't even buy stock. So how many people trade, but how many people buy things? Everybody buys things. And not only that, it's the same transition where people were going from the business model of video games, from selling entire games for like, $80 or whatever it is, and you buy the game, to it's a freemium economy and you pay for virtual goods. And people didn't understand that initially, but the game companies that understood that have made way more money than any traditional game company ever before selling regular items. And these virtual goods are the same things, but now you can actually own them. So when you have these virtual goods and you buy it in a game company, you can't really get true ownership. What if that game company goes out of business tomorrow? You can't take that asset and move it anywhere else. It's stuck in that game. But with NFTs and you factor in decentralization, then you get true ownership. Now, once you get true ownership, then now you can get amazing scalability into all these different other games and metaverses and such. So that's why the opportunities, when you combine both, like I said, the ability to combine the economics of it and people understanding that they're buying something that they can own, and then you combine that with the decentralization of blockchain-based games, then you have a real opportunity that's only going to come around really once as everybody slowly transitions from mainstream and these closed-off gardens into some type of at least hybrid, at the minimum, kind of game company. So that's why it's a big opportunity. And why is licensing important? Well, licensing is important because even in the traditional games sense, like for example, like Tencent's our client. It doesn't matter how big the game company you get. It's hyper competitive. It's the most competitive, one of the most competitive industries in the world, and a lot of times they use IP to compete because people have an affinity to brands, or people have an affinity to celebrities, or they have affinity to music. It could be music, things like that. So in the same vein as blockchain gaming grows, the way that they're going to grow is usually by licensing and bringing in things that attract or increase engagement overall for their users.
What you said earlier about, you always have ownership to those NFTs in games are really interesting, because that's one of the reasons I like Metaverse a lot is it allows different platform, protocol, dApps and games to really interact. It's like a new world, right? This interaction would be able to create more sparks. And that's why I really look forward to see what Metaverse and NFT is going to be like in the next 5 years.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing about it now is it's still very early. Like NFTs just kind of popped onto the scene and people didn't know if it was like something short term, but as it turned into gaming and then now metaverses, there's going to be a period where there's a transition. And this is where people still have a lot of opportunity, and it's still all very early if you're talking about investing, because it takes a while to build a metaverse. It's not like DeFi, or DeFi, even after they're done coding the contracts, they fire the programmers and they just put it on chain and it's on mainnet, and it's like, oh, it just runs automatically. It's a DAO and that's it. The project's done pretty much, and then people just interact with the project. That's like DeFi. But like when you're building a metaverse, you're building a community, you're building engagement. It's constant, and it's a grind, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger if you're doing it successfully. Like you cannot just make a Ready Player One overnight and then everybody just join. It has to organically grow from 100,000 users to 1 million users to 100 million users to, it's going to take time, right? So there's a lot of opportunity along the way for a lot of people to start investing into blockchain and gaming.
And it's funny how like the NFT has become kind of like the thing that is bringing them all together because of the open interoperability of just like these goods and extracting them from these closed off ecosystems, as opposed to maybe, hypothesis or guess would have been to actually build out this technical infrastructure to handle it all. But actually what's winning it is NFTs, right?
And that was our thesis when we started this company, which is digital items. So we feel like that was our mission statement, basically, to focus on digital items and digital merchandise, because that is going to be from me being addicted to video games, that's pretty much the representation of class, identity, membership. And one of the most exciting things for me recently is not what's being built, because there's always crazy bleeding edge stuff being built, but what's exciting to me most recently is what you see like Justin Sun, buying a rock, for $500,000, or you see like people Steph Curry bought a monkey or an ape. These people are waking up. And they're proving out the whole thing, which is people are spending money where they spend their time, which is like virtual goods. So Steph buys that to basically signal to people where he's spending his time on Twitter. Like, this is my avatar. I'm part of this club. This is now part of my identity as Steph Curry, one of the greatest basketball players in the world. But still, I'm on Twitter. What can I do to differentiate myself? What can I do to establish my identity, my digital identity in the Twitter ecosystem? Now, that's just Twitter. Take Twitter and put it into all these amazing metaverses that are currently being built and are going to be built, And then now, what does that mean beyond just a profile picture? But then how about an actually, there's a project I'm working on right now. I can't talk about it yet, with other people as well, where that is a lot more than just your profile picture, but it's your avatar in a game, and you can do stuff and actually interact with other people, and it's much more than just a picture, right? But that still is just a picture. Isn't just a picture. It's actually meaningful, right? And the mainstream people are just waking up to this, and that to me has been really, really exciting. I think that's probably been the most important thing that's emerged out of all this, because then that gets people to understand the metaverse, because then it gets people to understand, like, why are people spending $2 million on a rock, or why are people doing this, or it's really then, because then also they see and they're like, wait, I want that now, right? Oh man, these apes are $300,000 now. I want one, right? Like, what I mean? Like, so I mean that they're starting to feel that, and then that is when they can now understand and identify. Okay, I have this feeling inside of me, and now I understand other people that are going to want to spend money on digital items.
Yeah, and it's really about a community. You see that people holding penguins, they're like family.
Totally.
Holding like punks. They have their own community. Yeah, and it's really tight. And they're all holding this profile picture, and it's like, yeah, you're my homie.
Yeah, totally. Exactly, yeah, for sure.
And for those that are catching us on the show, these rocks will be available for sale after the
Yeah, and we talk about the avatar. That's really exciting to me. We're talking about, building a new like Ciara avatar in your games, and who, doesn't have to work like me in the real life. 100 to 120 hours a week.
Yeah, exactly.
That Ciara in Metaverse needs to just lie down on the beach and, enjoy her life.
Yeah. Very different than your real life Ciara. But that is exactly it. I mean, people will all want to be like that too, where that's an extension of themselves in this digital identity, in this new world. And then imagine that where you could eventually take your identity and move that around between other metaverses. I mean, the more you invest into it, the more you take your identity and move it around and stuff.
And I think people have that kind of false idea where like this metaverse or digital is just out there and it's like abstracted or separated from their physical. But what we're seeing and witnessing is that they're actually coming closer together, right? So like your digital presence, self, Twitter avatar, whatever it is, he wears that outside as well, Steph, everybody else. So I mean, it's not some abstract thing, this metaverse thing. It's a buzzword, but it's more relevant than I think people realize.
So curious to know how you guys can work with us more in the future regarding those new projects, and what's your plan in the future?
Yeah, we'd love to work with you guys more. I mean, we feel like we're part of the Huobi family now, and as you roll these out, these projects and initiatives, I mean, this is adding to our Epik network, and we'd love to help support in any way that we can, whether that's helping them with IP or connecting them to other game companies to do multiple campaigns, expand their reach, all of these kinds of things, or to even guide them if they're like a newer startup. We'd love to participate and be part of the Huobi ecosystem and support in any way that we can. And it's a natural fit because like I said, we work with other businesses. So basically, every company that comes out now out of Huobi and goes through with you guys, I mean, we can work with them immediately. There's always some kind of value add because we work with hundreds of game companies, and a lot of them are the traditional ones. But as we work more and more now with more crypto ones, there's more value add to the whole blockchain ecosystem there.
Yeah, definitely.
Not to mention the content as well for NFTs and crossovers and collaborations between them, depending on what they're involved in.
I mean, it's not just us supporting them; they're helping us absolutely, because, like I said, it's helping our token holders. Because as we work with them and we do more crossovers with them, and let's say introduce IP for them, our holders get basically access to those items. So it's a lot more than what we're creating individually in terms of one company. But by being a holder of Epik, you can actually get access to all of the NFTs across all of our network where they're normally not accessible.
So now we are doing a round of rapid fire questions. What do you want to do less of in 2021?
Less of in 2021, stay at home. I mean, 2021 has really changed the world, right? Miss getting out, right? I mean, I think a lot of people do. So,
what do I want to do less of? Sitting down. I need to start running or doing something. I never really ran before, but yeah, I need to start standing up.
Okay, so what do you want to do more of in 2021?
In 2021, a bit more work really to actually build great products. Yeah, we're at a super exciting time and got a lot of things coming down the pipeline, so that we're really excited about. So, yeah, I think we're on that track. So,
I think find more time for gratitude, even though I try to do it daily. I think we were blessed because of COVID. Our industry didn't, get ruined because we're in gaming and blockchain. So very, very fortunate. So I'd like to probably spend more time being grateful.
Great. Any future ambitions?
I'm doing what I love. I mean, for me, if one day my children, let's say, would be able to look on their phone and see all their digital items and their blockchain items, I'd feel like I've been a success. So
Good.
That's my goal. It's not really
Cats or dogs?
cats.
Cats. Yeah.
dog, probably.
Oh man, it was
I
scary.
love cats too, but if I have to choose,
Oh, cats for me. Okay, so last question. How can people reach you if they want to work with you?
Online, social, definitely. Telegram is where our community is. Epik Prime for all the socials is a great place to start. We're always there, always present, so you can reach out to us directly at any time.
yeah, we have two big websites. Epik.gg, which is where we do a lot of our licensing and B2B reach out. So if you're a company that wants to work with us, we have a lot of contact forms there. You can reach us there. Epikprime.com if you want to work with us on the NFT front, in-game or blockchain game collaborations or token-related collaborations. They can reach us on epikprime.com.
Okay.
Or our Twitter at epikprime.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining us for this exciting episode, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's great.